So Anaheim has come and gone, and man, I got some mixed feelings. I'm really happy for Tomac, Roxon, Prado, and those performances, but I can't overlook the complete negligence that almost cost Justin Barcia his life. And I am not exaggerating when I say this could have killed him. It could have been a mistake in front of 40,000 people that cost family man Justin Barcia, dad, could have cost him the rest of his life. And they just sat there like monkeys trying to F a football, getting his bike, almost run him over with his own bike. But I'll get into that. I'm going to calm down. If you have high impact chronic pain, I'm telling you, stop taking the pills that you're taking or continue taking them, but add Nano Extreme to the regimen. It is by far the most effective thing that I've found in reducing pain. Head over to Nano Extreme, use code COOKSY and get free shipping. If you want a proper education in how to sports psychology, physiology, and how to become a trainer in this sport, check out Coach Rob's program. I believe enrollment starts on the 15th of this month, and it's the right way to become a trainer or get a job inside the industry. So check it out with Coach Rob. Are you in charge of logistics at your company and you want to look like a rock star? Introduce them to Precision Transport. That's pretransport.com. They will make you look like a rock star, probably get you a promotion, and they're just good people. Head over to pretransport.com.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
But I don't blame them, I blame you! You have to do better!
I'm going to start with the glorious night that KTM had, because once I go off on the Barcia thing, I'm probably not coming back. I'm going to stop because I don't want to get worked up yet. I want to give KTM their due. This is crazy. Remember where they were last year? They had Sexton. They had all these financial issues hanging over their head. We didn't even know if they were going to exist anymore. I have worked at companies when stuff like that is happening. It becomes a nightmare. Everything you do, you wonder, why am I doing it? Am I even going to be here? What's going on? And for these guys at the KTM race team to truck through all that, do their jobs, and get Sexton through the whole season. They did their best to get Vial. Didn't work out, but they worked their asses off under trying circumstances. These poor guys on this race team needed some good. They needed something solid to kind of turn that momentum back around. Losing Vial, losing Sexton, it was like, oh boy, is this the beginning of the end for KTM? Well, it just so happened that Eli Tomac was going through something similar with Yamaha. So he was insulted by the offer they originally put out there. He said, nah, I'm going to shop around and see what I can find. Tomac shopped it around, looked around, said, yeah, you know what? I guess that Yamaha deal's the best offer I'm going to get. He goes back to Yamaha and says, hey, I'll take that offer you had. And they go, sorry, it's gone. We got rid of that offer. We paid Deegan. We paid Jay Coop. We paid Cooper Webb. We don't have any money at all for you, Tomac. You're out. And this late into the season, because usually these guys' contracts are done really early, he didn't have anything. He wasn't sure what he was going to do. Does he retire? Does he go back and try and make something work with Ducati and develop a new bike? He doesn't want to be that guy. And I've always taken Eli at his word. He has said from the beginning, I will race as long as I believe I can win, and I'm having fun. If you go all the way back to 2020, people have been trying to retire Eli Tomac. I love Coach Rob, and I was on with Johnny Hopper. They were both essentially telling me he's got 1 year left, 2 years left. I'm like, nah, man, I'm telling you, I think Tomac's going to hang around for a long time. And I will say, of all the things I said, this one aged pretty well. But both Tomac and KTM needed to prove something this year. And it's crazy. Round one is over, and they've already pretty much proved it. I mean, I know it's a long season. We got a lot ahead, but they've already proved enough that they're legit, and they are. It was the right decision for Tomac. It was the right decision for Prado, and Prado had put himself in a situation. Listen, I get, and it's pretty obvious now, that situation over at Kawasaki sucks. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not a big fan of Dan Fahey. I don't think he understands racing or this sport very well. I think, like, when he made that comment about Prado not being ready to run up front, I was just like, what are you talking about? How could you, anyone who could ever think that shouldn't be in charge of a race team. But Prado wasn't exactly a professional about it, and he quit. You can say it however you want. He quit. Even though the team sucked and they weren't giving him what he wants, you never quit like that. Prado did, and it put him in a situation where honestly, I found myself and I found almost everyone else kind of secretly rooting. Nobody wants to cheer for a quitter. There's a lot of things that are forgivable in this sport. Quitting isn't one of those. He put himself in a situation where he had to come out and do something dramatic to save his career, to save his reputation. This is a multi-time world champion. He is not somebody you expect to behave the way he did last year, but I'll tell you what, one round in and he's almost totally redeemed himself. Seeing the epic failures of Kawasaki last night, poor Garrett Marchbanks. I hope he just forgets this and moves on. I'm telling you, I don't care. I will not back off of how talented and good of a rider and determined Garrett Marchbanks is, but it is a cancer over there at that Kawasaki, and I'm almost wishing that he didn't get that ride and he maybe stayed at Mitch. Garrett, I'm sorry, man. I was lobbying for you to get that 450 ride. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe that is something I should have said, stay on the 250, but gosh, I don't know. Mitch, can you get him for the East? I don't know what you do here, but it's not a good situation at Factory Kawasaki. And I'll tell you something crazy about this sport. Just in the 90s, the window for being a professional was like 16, and then at 25, you were on your way out. For every other sport, 25 is when you just come into your prime. Your prime's 25 to 35. But our sport had it wrong. And they're like, no, you're done at 25. And they would write guys off. I mean, I remember McGrath at 28, and they were just like, oh, he's on his last leg. He's really in his prime. It all depends on motivation and health. It's a mental mindset. If you start a little bit later, it's hard to be a professional, but if you can do it at a high level you get about 10 years, whether you start at 16 or 26, you get about 10 years usually. And I love that Ken Roczen, Eli Tomac, Vince Friese, Jason Anderson, Cooper Webb, Christian Craig, Colt Nichols, Joey Savacci, Justin Hill, Mitchell Oldenburg, Shane McElrath, Justin Barcia, and Malcolm Stewart. They're all in the plus 30 class, which it shows me that plus 30 is not old. It is the prime of your career, 25 to 35. They've had it wrong. This is good for the sport because what Eli's doing is he's pushing that window open. So young riders, when you have a longer career and you have more opportunities later in life, think Eli Tomac. He is changing that for the rest of the generations. And Ken Roczen, man, he looked really good. He was on fire. He almost caught Tomac at the end. He's always good early. The question is, can he stick around long enough and can he have enough at the end of the series? But this is his best opportunity to get a Supercross championship since the first year on Honda when he had that arm injury. This is the best opportunity he's had. And like I said, despite how I feel about Ken Roczen, that would be storybook. That would be insane to see him get it this late in his career. And as much as I think personally that he's a knucklehead, I'm kind of cheering for it. Hunter Lawrence looked pretty good. He didn't fill in for Jet. He rode a good, solid race, and I think if he'd have got around Anderson a little bit earlier, he probably would have got Prado and been on the podium. But it was smart the way he rode Anderson, because Anderson, he's, I wouldn't say dirty, but if you leave the door open, especially if your last name's Lawrence, he's going to take advantage of it. There is no love lost. No matter what has happened, if he tries to go on the outside of Anderson, he's going over the berm. So I commend Hunter Lawrence for being patient and possibly giving up a podium, but not risking getting a 16th place after being cleaned out by Anderson. What he did in Anaheim was like a long-term play. That's a guy who wants to be there all season, and he'll have his moments up front. And as long as Anderson's not right in front of him, he'll be able to go, and he's probably going to get a win this year. I don't know how many, but I bet you Hunter Lawrence gets one win and quite a few podiums, and he's close in the points. And Jason Anderson, 5th, while on paper is not the best result, you got to remember, when that accident happened, he was right there. Can you imagine the mindset of getting up? I mean, he almost looked like he was going to jump down and do CPR on Barcia. He heard the grunting and the noise and saw the rolled eyes or whatever was going on with Justin Barcia right there. He had to go back to the line, reset, and do it again. And for him to salvage a 5th place with those situations, man, I can't imagine. I don't know how these guys shut it out. It's a very particular skill to be able to lock that out and go do your job. Justin Cooper, man, this guy could be one of the best if he knew how to skim loops or if he worked on it and really went for it. He's one of the best at jumping them, and he made that jump line work towards the end, and I think it was faster, but it didn't come in early enough to to set him up very well for the main event. It didn't come in early enough to get him much track position. He did good, and he's going to get a lot of podiums, but until he learns how to skim whoops, he'll never be a real title threat. He's just Cooper Webb's wingman at this point, and he's a damn good one at that. Speaking of Cooper Webb, man, he had the lead and was probably going to win Anaheim for the first time. I don't think he's ever won the opener until the red flag. The fact that he had the lead and was out there, and a lot of his contenders, like the guys who would battle him for that, were a little further back. I truly think if you give that to Cooper Webb, he wins that race. He wins that race 9 out of 10 times in that situation, but it's racing. That's part of it. When there's a red flag, you got to reset. It's nobody's fault. It's just, that's part of racing. When things like that happen, they're out of Cooper Webb's control. You have to reset, go back, and do it again. But Cooper Webb's smart. He still salvaged a pretty good finish, and he's got points. I mean, it could haunt him. I mean, when we get to the final rounds, and you look at, he could have been third versus where he finished, man, he'll kill for these points later in the year, but he still did okay. It's not like it's going to end his championship. The way this thing's going to go, we're going to see a lot of different winners and a lot of competitive results. I don't think Tomac's going to go on a run and win 3, 4, 5 in a row, but he could. If you guys need some new gear, head over to Alias MX. This stuff is awesome. High quality motocross gear that not everyone at the track's going to have. There's a lot of people, but they got their new 26 gear that's up on the website. I don't know when it's shipping. I'll have to find out about that, but head over to Alias MX and get your new gear. Ride strapped, goggles, glasses, shirts, just a really cool company. And Chris and I were texting back and forth last night from Strapped, and both of us were struggling to cheer for Prado after being a quitter. But it's crazy because it's like such a good story that he went from the scrap heap and being so bad last year to a contender. It's like you want to cheer for those types of stories, but both of us were struggling with the fact that he's a quitter. Anyway, Chris is a good dude. Go check out Ride Strapped and get yourself some goggles, glasses, or a shirt. And I'm sorry to see Malcolm Stewart with that dislocated shoulder. Hopefully he's using some of the peptides. I'm sure he could use the Wolverine stack right now. Malcolm, head over to Veltrogen, use code Cooksey and get a discount and get that Wolverine stack and get that shoulder healed up as fast as humanly possible. And Malcolm, if you watch this and you want to get hooked up, just reach out to me. I'll make sure Veltrogen takes care of you. Now to the most horrifying display of incompetence that I have seen in a long time. This was disgusting. And I have to warn you guys, I'm going to show some video after the incident, and it's disturbing. So if you don't want to watch that, please turn it off now. But I am giving you a warning, but I'm only showing it to prove my point of how serious this is. There's this thing in all of us that we kind of want to just, okay, there's an accident, turn your head, go back to the starting line, let's forget it happened and do it again. And that's part of the way we exist, doing this ridiculously dangerous stuff that we do. And if you're watching this channel, you probably ride dirt bikes, and I know it's not on the same level as these guys in Supercross, but the same things hold true on different levels. So I'm going to break down how this incident first happened. It didn't happen necessarily on the triple jump. You guys all saw the accident on the triple, but this accident started on the little bend right before it where they're jumping at a 45-degree angle. The problem with putting jumps on 45-degree turns is the guys want to straighten it out. You're not supposed to cross jump on dangerous leaps. That's something that's kind of taboo in the sport. There's no specific rule against it, but everybody knows you don't cross jump. But it's virtually impossible to not do that when you have jumps on a 45-degree angle. Everybody cross jumps. It's the line. We know Roxon, he flies right out of the gate. I mean, he makes moves and was cooking. And he made a leap to the inside of Malcolm Stewart. And Malcolm was kind of doing the drift angle and almost got smashed by a midair Ken Roxon. Not dirty, just a racing incident. But then he had to check up. After that, that was when the mayhem. So it all started with Roxon and Malcolm and the poor track design. And I really don't like tough blocks, even on the front side of a triple landing. It's just, especially when it's that crowded of a situation, you want to leave the guys places to jump off the track. I don't know that that would have helped the situation, but when I look at it from the back view and I see those new tough blocks, which I like the tough blocks, but I see those stacked on the triple jump on the inside, and I'm like, what? Like, I feel like there should be a better exit. Maybe you guys could help me come up with something. Normally, I say I don't like to bring up problems unless I have a solution. I mean, I got some ideas, but maybe you guys could help me. You guys are the best at this. How do you set up a triple jump to where you can exit to the right or left in a situation like this? And like I said, I don't even know if that would have fixed this one, but it's something we should look at. So Barcia was just mid-pack going for the jump. And here's the thing, when it's built on an angle like that, he didn't know whether Malcolm, when you say hold your line, well, what are you holding? Are you holding the race line where they turn? Or are you holding it going straight? Barcia didn't know which side to jump or where Malcolm was going to go. It was, I don't put any blame on the riders. It was just a crazy situation. But that's enough about the accident. Let's talk about the aftermath. Poor Malcolm. I mean, he got landed on. I guess his shoulder's dislocated. He's in rough shape. Such a disappointment for Malcolm, and you could hear it in James. I felt so bad for James in the booth. If you listen to it, when they showed Malcolm going, outside the medical unit, they cut back. If you want to replay it, you hear James go, ugh, that's pain. That's seeing your little brother in a bad spot, knowing what he's done to prepare for Anaheim, the anticipation. And he knows when you look at a guy that's as tough as Malcolm, that's in that kind of pain, there's a good chance we don't see him again this year, or at least it will be a long time. Or we might see him next week because he's ridiculously tough, but it's bad. And I didn't notice it in the moment, but all you guys have sent me the videos afterward, especially people in the stadium, were disturbed at how long Justin Barcia laid on the track. I mean, he just laid there while people picked up bikes, went about their business, medicals taking care of Malcolm, and nobody checked on Justin Barcia for at least 90 seconds. At least 90 seconds. And by the way, the video I'm playing right now, that is real time. That's how it happened. This poor knucklehead that's trying to get the bike off. What are you doing? Would you please just check? And I would think, listen, he's not a medic. I get that. But I think all the track workers should know how to do CPR. What if he needed CPR right then? Are you really worried about getting the bike off, or do you need to start CPR? Like I said, I know he's not a medic, but if you're down on that track, that close to guys doing this type of stuff, you should know CPR. Because if Barcia had needed CPR, he'd be dead. We all would have watched him die right there on the track because nobody did anything. According to the information I found, there's about 10 to 15 people with medical professionals there for the riders at Anaheim. Why they didn't have anyone positioned to get over there immediately is beyond me. Was there, two guys working the track and one was on the other side? I don't know what happened, but it's just disheartening to know they care that little about the guys to not have medical personnel all over the place. MX Sports and Feld have a $100 million a year deal with the streaming company. They got a giant contract with the gambling company. They've got all your money from the people who paid for those. They got their monster sponsor money. They're making so much. Okay, if you're not going to pay the riders, fine. At least put some damn medical professionals around the track to prevent something like this, an immediate death. There's a lawsuit right now against a promoter in Mammoth Mountain. Aiden Zing's parents are suing because they didn't think the attention he received was sufficient. I'll tell you this, I would bet anything, there's not video of it, but they had a ski patrol guy right there, and he didn't radio to shut off the race because he was doing CPR. He was there immediately, and they're still getting sued. This, oh my God, 90 seconds in front of 40,000 people? It's 100 times worse than whatever happened at Mammoth, and that has a lawsuit pending.
But I don't blame them, I blame you!
I just couldn't believe how much was going on and how long. Like, the dude never moved. He never moved. And I know, because I've talked to some people in that camp, and I'm going to update you on his condition, Justin Barcia had a severe concussion. And I say severe because he didn't wake up. He was long out of the stadium before he ever woke up. And the cover-up. So Racer X posted, I think it was Wygant, that he waved to the crowd on the way out. I have video proof. He was asleep the whole time. He never waved. The announcer asked them to give it up for Justin Barcia. He did not do the strap down to the stretcher wave to the fans. He was asleep. We didn't know this. And for them to spin the narrative and minimize it shows you what we're dealing with. Some disgusting people who have their best interests in mind over safety. And they're just like, oh, he'll be fine. Just a concussion. Watch, they'll come out and say, oh, just a concussion. He'll be back in 6 weeks. Once he clears our fake concussion protocol, Justin's very lucky, and we're happy to have the best medical professionals out there to help him and get him back on track. Yeah, bullshit. We just watched a husband, a father, and somebody we've watched race for years lay helpless on a track, unconscious for 90 seconds before anyone even went to check on him. How dare you minimize that? We saw it with our own eyes, and now you're telling us it didn't happen. Racer X and all you knuckleheads that go along with the narrative, stop with the gaslighting. I know, you and your porn mustaches, I get, you're all followers and you all do things to be part of the crew just to show you how the industry is. Look how many stupid mustaches we see out there. Our sport is full of lemmings. Nobody thinks for themselves. If Wygant puts that out there, everybody goes, oh, he was okay. He waved to the crowd, just a concussion, on with the sport. That's what they do. But that's not what needs to happen here. We need to look at this and make sure we have medical professionals. Had he needed CPR, we want to save his life. And I know it's not fun to report on injuries, but don't minimize them. Don't gaslight us with things that didn't happen to try and make it sound better. That's a lie. That's wrong. That just shows you the integrity of Racer X. That shows you the integrity of the people that run our sport and what they're concerned with. I'm so mad over this. It just makes my blood boil that Barcia probably is he's in the hospital, probably still doesn't know where he is, what happened. He's going to have a blank spot. He's going to have issues from concussions later in life because not only do they affect immediately, 20 years down the road when weird things happen, your emotions go in different directions, you don't know why, it's because of the damage you did back then. These guys don't care. They don't care about the long-term health of these guys.
We're not doing as good as we can, but I don't blame them, I blame you!
They're just worried about their bottom line and protecting the Supercross interest and their hundreds of millions of dollars that they're making off of these kids risking their lives. And like I said, I'm not arguing for more money for these guys. They've accepted their shit pay and they're going to race that way. The least you guys could do is give them proper medical care and safety. We need a riders organization yesterday. Not all the riders in a group conversation. They don't need to be completely involved in meeting with Feld week in and week out. They have their own jobs to do. That's how it went wrong last time. They were trying to meet with them every week. Guys like, I want to go racing. They need to have a third party to go and say, hey, that's dangerous. Like what Trey Kennard tried to do way back in the day and Feld told him to pound sand. He believed that we needed a group of guys that know what they're talking about. He was going to head that, and they were going to look at the tracks and and communicate between the riders and the promoters. Hey, this is dangerous. You might want to change this. Hey, we can't have jumps on a 45-degree turn because here's what could happen. And they said, oh, thanks, but no thanks, Trey. We don't want to pay for this. And I am not one of those people that wants to soften the sport or, this is not tennis. This is not a sport for the faint of heart. But you need to have medical personnel in case these things happen. If these guys are willing to risk their lives and make you promoters millions and millions of dollars, the least you can do is make sure they don't die in front of 40,000 people and his wife and children while we all watch some track worker fumble his bike around and almost run him over with it. Oh my God. That was one of the most epic fails that I think I've ever seen in this sport. And if that doesn't inspire change, I don't know what will. Anyway, thank you, members. I appreciate everything. A lot of you members are going to get some Nano Extreme this month. They're giving it away. And I'll be back with more content this week. But this one has me troubled, disgusted, and mad. So anyway, thanks, guys. I appreciate everything.
I speak for the people cause we can't remain complacent. The illegals hell American motorcycle race. The devil is a wingman, his name is Rob Dingman. He wanna kill the future of the moto kids and dream.